YouTube, what the crap's going on? The great Mr. Soul Invictus has sent me another replay where he's going to be playing against Han Knight as Tylis. So when it comes to meta builds, Tylis is generally considered to be pretty strong in this game because of their tribal warriors. But we've seen Soul Invictus do some good work with Suebi before. And the Suebi, so tribal warriors, one of their big strengths is armor. They have a ton of armor. Very defensive unit. They're not the best on offense, but they got a decent charge, and they're very defensive. And they're pretty cost effective in general, so that's what makes Tylis one of the more dangerous factions. Combine that with their excellent raiding horsemen, who have really good stats for a cavalry raider. Anyway, yeah, then you mix that with Levy Freeman, and Levy Freeman, of course, defines the good factions a lot of times. So it's like we got a few oaths, or no, those are tribal warriors, my bad. There is an oath-sworn general for Tylis, but mostly tribal warriors. Looks like there was a Gallo-Thracian infantry on the one flank, another one over here. Spread very thin, as is pretty common. And the Suebi are working in kind of like miniature army units, which is sometimes a preferred method for the player taking the Suebi. Got some Cimbri bowwomen on this flank. I'm assuming similar over there. Spear Levy supporting Berserkers and Bloodsworn. Nice combination here for high charge. Bloodsworn for getting a little bit of armor-piercing damage done. Noble Riders supporting them. The Cimbri bowwomen can help keep the Galatian Raiders at bay while the infantry tries to do its thing. Scout Rider here as well, that'll help out. In the center, looks like two Bloodsworn backed up by a Spear Levy and a Noble Rider. Another Noble Rider, so three total Noble Riders, two Germanic Scouts. The Woden has Spear over here, interesting. A couple of Cimbri bowwomen, again a Bloodsworn and a Berserker. So, I mean, if I brought this Suebi army, I would be dead. This Suebi army has a lot of capability, but it's also very flimsy if it ends up in the wrong spot. But it's very deadly if used properly. And that's the thing with the Suebi, is with a little finesse, they can be a pretty dangerous faction. Just pound for pound when it comes to slugging it out with certain factions, they're not the best, but if you play them in a crafty way, the Suebi is basically full of interesting specialty units. Like Bloodsworn have a really good charge for their price and do a little bit of decent AP damage, and when you combine them with certain Suebi abilities or other units, it makes them pretty deadly. Berserkers, again, limited in numbers and other stuff, but can do a ton of damage if they get into the right scenario. Here you're going to see the Gallo-Thracians take a hit from the Bloodsworn, and we'll just watch. Gallo-Thracians are a little bit sturdier, a little bit more pricey infantry, but they're going to get hit pretty hard by the Bloodsworn in the charge. Bloodsworn will almost even that out. The rest of the Suebi pull back here, apparently not thinking that this is the engagement that he wants. So he's going to leave the Bloodsworn here to fight it out. Looks like maybe bring a Spear Levy in to hold these guys up a little bit longer. Tribal warriors out here, some raiding horsemen. You can see the Suebi player, which is Soul Invictus, he's holding back over here. Just like kind of holding this flank back. He's got these guys in the center, so the Tylis player is trying to engage and gain an advantage over one flank of the Suebi, and if he were to do so, it would be very bad for the Suebi, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that Soul Invictus has to know that. Okay, these Berserkers are going to come in. They're going to have to hit this Levy Freeman first. Ooh, they kind of botched their charge because of it, so this is bad for the Berserkers. They'll get a ton of kills on the Spear Levy. The Gallo-Thracians are going to get a decent engagement there. Berserkers go crazy, and he's used Frenzy on them. So they'll do some extra charge bonus and weapon damage while they're under that frenzy. Looks like the Scout Riders out here with the Noble Riders pin down and destroy the raiding horsemen. 2 units of them, nonetheless. So that's a great deal there. Now the Cimbri bowwomen can get a lot of work done versus the tribal warriors because there's not enough mobility. Bloodsworn breaking up the charge of a tribal warrior along with a Noble Rider, so a nice combination there. Now the Bloodsworn will do some decent AP damage. Another Bloodsworn waiting for the advance of Tylis, and now this army is free to kind of threaten this flank, and it's causing Tylis to hold units in reserve. Scout Riders did their job. More raiding horsemen inbound. Now that's one thing you can't underestimate about the Scout Riders, is they are very, very fast. The Berserkers here won one of their combats, but now they're chasing a routing unit because they're Berserk. There they came back under control. The nice thing is when Berserkers do go Berserk, they are fresh, and so their fighting stats are not impacted. Got a nice fast charge here from the Bloodsworn, so that's been used by the Noble Rider General. The Noble Rider General has fast charge right now too, and can do some big damage if it gets to hang on to that long enough. this tribal warrior, for instance, but it's not going to. Going to keep it back safely, which is smart. Suebi don't want to lose their general. At this point, the Tylis player is kind of just piecemeal, keeps committing units back here. And that's going to play right into the hand of the Suebi, I believe. So here, going to be using a Wodenaz Spear to stop the tribal warrior's charge, and then going to hit from behind with a Berserker, which is going to be a nice combination. Kimbri Bowwomen hitting here. The tribal warrior turns around to charge the Berserker. Not a bad plan either. But that's going to leave their back open to Wodenaz Spear, who actually have pretty decent armor-piercing damage, especially if the Pride ability is used by the Suebi general. The final effects of fast charge coming into play now, and it looks like Tylis is using the Raise the Banner. So it looks like trying to get to maybe some of the skirmishers back here of Tylis. So some of the Celtic slingers being attacked. Look at the hit and run here by Suebi. Suebi kind of just keeps hitting and pulling back. Berserkers are berserk, out of control again, but they're 183 kills. Really nice performance from them. Some of it was Spear Levy and Gallowthracians, but some of it was Tribal Warriors too. So pretty significant number of kills. Wodenaz Spears didn't get a lot of... well, actually they got 86 kills. Never mind. They did great. The Bowwomen here are just going to be kind of attacking with some degree of impunity. Look at the Scout Riders drawing a Javelin volley out of the Tribal Warriors. Nice work. This will help the Bloodsworn. He keeps pulling back here in the center, though, which is, I think, very nicely done by the Suebi, kind of pulling Tylis out of their formations. These Levy Freemen are going to get hammered on the charge, and the Noble Rider is going to still do some decent damage to the raiding Horsemen, especially if this Spear Levy gets over here to support. You can see the Levy Freemen wavering because of the big hit. Tons of kills on these Noble Riders. They're doing a great job. Tylis is just lacking in mobility at this point, and they're kind of flailing and attacking the Suebi everywhere they can, but because they can't get one engagement the way they need it, they just keep losing all the little single engagements, and that's the kind of thing that the Suebi are going to try to do to you if they're managed well. Now, this raiding Horseman's going to attack these Kimbri Bowwomen. If they can make it kind of botch its charge and then turn around and use their two-handed spears and melee, they could actually probably drive off the mercenary Thracian cavalry here. Bowwomen are actually pretty decent in melee if they don't get charged against light horsemen. But it looks like here the Scout Riders and the Bowwomen are actually going to combine to make a pretty effective teardown of the mercenary Thracian horsemen. I'm trying to remember the stats on these guys. Not real great. These Noble Riders here, 164 kills, did a pretty spectacular job. Noble Rider General is just kind of getting started. He's taken some damage from some charges into some Tribal Warriors, but now he's going to mop up Celtic Slingers. You can see the Suebi now just kind of pouncing on the unsupported sections of Tylis troops. Look at his 50 kills on the Berserker, being supported by a Wodenaz Spear. That's a great combination right there. Lots of armor piercing, lots of damage, good defensive stats on the Wodenaz Spear, and also a nice charge bonus on both units. So pretty nice combination. Bloodsworn look like they're kind of cycle charging this Tribal Warrior because it has to try and fight off like multiple units at a time. So getting cycle charges on the Bloodsworn is actually pretty good because that's where they do most of their damage, is on the charge. And then you can see that the Suebi player is sometimes just pulling away from the engagement altogether and trying to move to a more favorable engagement. Tribal Warriors are slow. The Suebi are going to be relatively quick on their feet. Most of their units are light and lightly armored, which is why they can sometimes be a little bit flimsy versus other factions, but still a dangerous faction if played right. Is Suebi going to try and use the quote-unquote forest here for defense? They might. I don't know if it actually provides a bonus. Yeah, it does. There's a tooltip that pops up on it with forest, so highly effective at hiding troops, but slow movement speed. So Tylis is now being surrounded by the remnants of Suebi. These Berserkers are in good shape and ready to do a lot of killing. The Noble Rider's in pretty good shape. This Noble Rider's in pretty good shape, and it's going to make a charge here. The Spaghetti Lines are going to make its charge relatively ineffective there. I mean, this is one thing that, using the Spaghetti Lines in Rome 2 does make sense. I hate it. It doesn't look good, and I wish Creative Assembly wouldn't have done it that way, but the players do it, and the players who do it and do it the right way, knowing what they're doing, is definitely the right way to do it, in the sense that it helps give you guys more charge bonus because they're spread out. They can wrap around the flanks of enemy units. It makes a huge difference. It does take away a massive amount of bracing, so there is some downside to it. It also makes your guys easy to charge and then pull through. to get the skirmishers and other stuff. It helps you spread out and cover more ground, but again, it makes your lines easy to penetrate with cavalry. So there are some downsides to it, but for the most part, the downsides are outweighed by the upsides. Here comes the Berserkers, getting a frenzied charge. So they're going to do considerable damage once again. This is an Oathsworn, though. But the Cimbri Bowwomen pouring in some fire here. Kind of toward the back of the Berserkers, but some of it coming from the flank, so it'll help the Berserkers get some damage done. But they're dying in droves here, too, and it very well could be to some of the archer fire because they're pretty susceptible to it. But at this point, I don't think the Suebi have to worry about it too much. They're going to be able to come in and surround what's left of Tylis. See here some of the last raiding horsemen being driven off by a noble rider. The noble rider general of Suebi is very safe back here, 147 kills, mopped up some other Tylis units. So very nicely played here by Sol Invictus. You can see that the battle, he had to get it all spread out, and he had to keep it spread out, and he had to continually make sure that the engagements he was getting were actually going to be favorable. And when they were not favorable, you would see him charging in and out. He's doing the same thing here, kind of charging a unit in, bringing more units in to reinforce, and then bringing that unit back for another charge. He's kind of continually charging and retreating, and using the Suebi's light kind of hit-and-run type tactics to take out the different pockets of Tylis. And I like this a lot. I think it's a good move. You can see here he's using the Cimbri Bowwomen and other units to kind of tie these down. Now he is getting low on solid infantry, and there's a fairly healthy Oathsworn left. So he's going to have to be careful, especially if these guys get into a headhunt. Wodenaz Spear coming in, well as the Noble Rider General hitting the Pride ability. This is great timing for the Pride ability. 42 weapon damage on the Wodenaz, a considerable amount of that being armor piercing. It's going to actually rack up some kills here against the Oathsworn. And indeed, the Oathsworn gets overwhelmed and routed. That was really a cool game, and if you all want to see more Total War Rome 2, Sol Invictus does run a YouTube channel. I'll have a link to it in the description. He is a good player. He's not the only good player in Total War Rome 2, but he's definitely a good player, and honestly one of the better ones that I have seen in my time on Total War Rome 2. So if you like this kind of stuff, definitely you can go check out his channel. Like I said, I'll have the link there. Appreciate all of those of you who are subscribed and viewing these, and like I said, all the comments, likes, the kind words, and the other stuff. The viewers and good people like Sol Invictus who submit things that make this channel better. Appreciate all of you a great deal. It's very humbling to have so many awesome people involved, and really love the community you all help create here. So hope that I can keep it going for you and make it entertaining. Anyway, appreciate MSI for having sponsored the build that I recorded this with. HeirofCarthage signing out for now, and I will be back with some more Total War Rome 2 action in the near future for you.